Vamos a grabar, vamos a grabar. Y muy buenos días, ¿cómo están todos? ¿Están bien?
Bien.
Oh,
Sí.
Mark, me gusta tu camiseta, ¿sí? Michigan State, bien. Ok.
Ujú.
Vale, fantástico. Okay. We have a little request, so we're going to start off with some kind of fix-it issues or maybe explanation issues with the little fill in the blank exercise. Some of you may have found it easy. Some of you may have said, I got half of it. Some of you may have said, I was completely flummoxed. And we'll take a look at the answers to that, why they are what they are, and all of that. So, okay, vale, todo bien. And then we'll follow that up with a little video that has some spontaneous things related to how we change things from mentioning the whole noun to subject pronouns, and then we'll move on from there. Okay. Vale, fantástico. Aquí vamos. Here we go. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger too, también. Mejor, better, I think. Okay, so the key here is that they didn't want you just plugging in any old pronoun as a substitution drill, meaning just change the objects, the things receiving action, to pronouns. But in addition to that, you're also answering a question, which makes it a little different, right? So, ejemplo, the example. Always look at the example, yeah? ¿Quién te enseña la gramática? Who teaches the grammar to you? And normally when we answer something like that, this is a situation where these object pronouns come into play, because instead of repeating the word grammar, you'll substitute in it, right? But if they're saying, who's teaching it to you, an answer would be, somebody is teaching it, the thing being taught, to me. Because if the question is, are they doing it for you? Then the answer has to switch to, they're doing it for me. So you're doing kind of a lot of mental gymnastics, but this is the way that questions and answers go. Yeah. So they got from ¿Quién te enseña la gramática? La profesora me la enseña. The teacher teaches it. La gramática turns into la, to me, and that of course turns into me, and it's me la enseña. To me, it, she teaches. And that kind of is the key. That is the word order they are actually thinking in. A native speaker is thinking in that word order. So it helps. It sounds funky, but it is what the mental process is for a native speaker, to think in that word order. To me, it, somebody teaches. Yeah. Okay. So,
Una pregunta.
sí, dime.
Sí. ¿Qué say? No, no.
Okay, say, why do they use say it?
Sí.
Aha. Okay. One more layer of, oh, blankety blank. Why does Spanish do this? Because me la, me los works great. Te la, te lo works great. Nos la, nos lo works great. But in Spanish, you can't le lo. So in Spanish, you can't le lo, and you can't le la, and you can't le los. You can't la 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 la. You can't do that. Yeah. And that's why, because a la 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 is a lot, a tongue work.
Okay. ¿Por qué
So,
no es en los instrucciones? Or did I miss something?
well, the only thing you missed is that if the indirect object is either a le or a les, and we're combining it with a second object pronoun, the le or the les is always going to turn into se.
Muchas gracias.
De nada. Okay. So because it can't be, we've got that in the first example. And, leading off with the hardest thing is maybe not the best idea for organizing this exercise. If I were building it, you don't leave the absolute hardest thing for the first one. Okay. Because then people go,
Marilyn?
"Gah!" See,
Marilyn, what you just said, if I heard you right, was not really what you wanted to say. You said when you're combining it with a second object pronoun,
the
but
second
it's
object
when
pronoun.
you're combining it with a second one that's a low la, low slas.
Right.
It's only in that
Anytime,
case.
yeah. Anytime it's a direct. Lo, la, si. Lo, la, los, las. If the second pronoun is a lo, la, lo, los, las, you can't have a le, lo, le, la, le, lo. It's hard for me to even say that because I'm so used to not saying it. Yeah, the le or the les, le and les, not metenos, but le and les will always turn into se if I combine it with a second object pronoun, right? So, okay, let's take a look. ¿Quién le explica los problemas a Ana? Who's explaining the problems to Ana? So you're going to say, and we're putting in the prompt that the answer is going to be Paco's doing this, but he's doing it for Ana, right? He's not doing it for you. He's doing it for Ana. Okay. And the thing we're going to drop in the answer and totally get rid of is going to be los problemas. So los problemas has to turn into that shorter word, los. Okay, that one's not too hard. But right off, we've got the example of it can't be le, los, right? So the le, which would normally be talking about Ana, le, if you were only using one pronoun, le would be correct, right? Paco le explica. Paco's explaining it to her is okay. Paco le explica. But when I combine that le explica, he's explaining it to her, and I stick an it or a them in there as well. When I'm sticking in a lo, la, los, las, I can no longer say le, los, explica. The le turns into se. Sí, ¿entiendes? Understand that? Sí? Mejor? Okay. So, Paco se los explica. He's explaining them, meaning the problems, to her. Paco se los explica. You're probably not going to repeat the Ana part in the answer because it's understood. It was in the question. We don't need to repeat that. It's in context. ¿Sí? Bien. Okay. ¿Quién te presta su ropa nueva? Who's lending you some new clothes? Who's lending you some new clothes? I don't know. You got thrown in the pool at the wedding party and somebody's got to lend you some clothes, right? Getting out of that wet pool. So Luis is going to be doing it, Luis, but because the question says te presta, loaning it to you because it's an answer, right? It turns in he's doing it for me. So there's where the me comes from. And what's the thing being loaned out? It's this whole thing. So this whole string of words is the direct object. It's the thing being loaned or borrowed, however you want to look at it. And all of those words have to disappear. And the word that's going to stand in for all of that string of words, su ropa nueva, is la. So, Luis me la presta. Luis, to me, he's loaning. Okay, bien. ¿A quién le manda Juan esas rosas? Who is Juan sending roses to? Who's he sending these flowers to? Okay. And okay, so if we're asking about Juan doing the sending, in the answer, that stays the same. Juan manda. Okay. And And we're going to name who's getting the roses. Oh, we don't know from the question. We don't know from the question who it's going to be. Right? But we do know that we want to drop this whole phrase, esas rosas, those roses. And to shorten that, that whole thing has to disappear. Whatever is the direct object, the whole string pertaining to the direct object has to go bye-bye, right? The little direct object pronoun of las has to stand in for both of those words, and both those words, esas rosas, they have to disappear. So, las manda, he sends them, and now we have to name who he's doing it for Elena. But even though we're naming a Elena, we need a little pronoun in there to represent the a Elena, even if we're naming her. So it's Juan se las manda a Elena. Juan se las manda a Elena. You might ask, hey, since I name a Elena, since I'm naming a Elena, I'm naming her by name. What the heck? Why not just drop that say? If I'm naming a Elena, what's the reason for having say? And the really helpful explanation is that's just what they do. Even though they name Elena, in English, you would say, well, that's redundant. It's repetitive. That seems totally unnecessary. But it would not sound natural to a native speaker to say, Juan las manda a Elena, and drop the word say. It sounds off. What they do is, sí.
Oh, sorry. I'm just curious because this was in a response to a question.
Yes.
What if it was just, oh, sabes que Juan, Amanda, well, okay. Let me rephrase it.
No. Sabes que Juan manda rosas a alguien. Do you know Juan is sending roses to somebody?
But it was mostly like, I was wondering, because mandar doesn't normally need say, right? So, because could you rephrase it? I should have posed my question in my head better before I asked the question, but I'm wondering, like, it's because we're using say because Juan is sending these roses to somebody, but what if it was just like, because Juan manda las rosas a Elena, right? But you wouldn't use, it wouldn't be reflexive, or you wouldn't have that say there, right? Or is that also how you would say it? Juan manda.
You're normally going to include that say, even if when you're naming Elena. Yes.
Okay, because you wouldn't say Juan. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead,
would
Nora.
nobody say Juan las manda a Elena and drop the word say? They're normally going to keep the word say.
Okay,
Yes.
Juan se manda las rosas a Elena.
And you might drop the Juan.
Okay.
You're likely going to drop the Juan because we already know, oh, you're asking about Juan. So we might drop the word Juan and just se las manda Elena. It would be likely to drop the word Juan, the name Juan, because from the question we're asking about him. But it would not be likely to drop the word say.
Okay.
Now,
say means, because you wouldn't just you would mandar, you would have to, like, someone has to receive. So that's why you have say, right?
Someone has to receive.
Okay. So
and the nature
mandar is what really indicates that say needs to be there.
Yeah. So because in the question, we're not asking who's sending roses. We know it's Juan. We're asking who's Juan sending them to. The a quien tells you that we don't know the person. Okay, we want a name, and we get a name with Elena. But even though we've got that name, Elena, it is the natural response of a native speaker to include a little pronoun besides that information of her name. To use both is the natural response.
And then just one last follow-up. What if it instead, a quien le da, is it da?
It-
las rosas. Would you still have say there if it was
It's
a
not
different?
reflexive.
Yeah, if you had instead of manda, like da, give, you're still going to have the same response.
Okay, it
Yeah.
still say would still be there.
You're
Okay, that
still,
answers my
you're
question
still going to have
perfectly.
a say. See, okay.
Thank
The
you.
See,
say
see,
is
see.
not, the say is not reflexive.
This, eso sí. You're
Mhm.
right there. You know, say is a reflexive. Well, it is, but here it's not. Gah, yeah, yeah. And how do you know? Out of context, you wouldn't, well, actually here, even with the context, because mandarse would not be like normally a reflexive verb. So yeah, you would know because it's not a reflexive verb, but okay. Yeah, okay, so even if we had something that was not mandar, okay, another example, instead of manda, ¿a quién le manda Juan esas rosas? The question could be, we could like take a different verb out. ¿A quién le compra Juan esas rosas? Who's he buying them for? ¿A quién le da Juan esas rosas? Who's Juan giving them to? Okay. So manda there might be a number of verbs that will work with the same kind of structure that will result in the same structure for an answer. But that se is not reflexive. Se has, I don't know, like around that many uses. Don't quote me. It might even be that. It might be that. It's got like 6 or 7 different uses. But one of the key things is that when I combine 2 object pronouns, 2 things receiving action, right? Mete and nos always stay mete and nos. But when I combine le with a direct object, lo, la, los, las, I can't le, lo. Le is going to have to turn into the word say, and that does not make it suddenly reflexive. It's just what they do. And it is purely a linguistic thing to make it easier to pronounce. So it's just a thing. Okay. Bien. Let's take a look. Cuatro. ¿Quién les dice a ustedes la respuesta? This one is a tough one. People with from English-speaking background kind of do some mental gymnastics with something like this. And ¿Quién les dice a usted? And the dice says that somebody is doing this. Yeah, okay. So dice tells us somebody is, ¿quién dice? If we took out the les, ¿quién dice? Who is telling? Yeah. ¿Quién dice la respuesta? Who's telling the answer? A ustedes, to you guys.
Yeah.
So the les dice a ustedes. The les is there because of the a ustedes. Aha. Who's telling you guys the answer? Okay. In Spanish, that question, can't we just say, ¿Quién dice a ustedes?
No.
Nobody's going to say it that way. That's the sad
Okay.
truth. Why? Because, yay. Because if it's a ustedes and you guys is receiving the action, they're going to also include that pronoun les. Is it overdoing it? Is it redundant? Yes, but that's what they do. It's just how they say it. ¿Quién les dice a ustedes? Who's telling you guys? So we want somebody doing the telling, and they're just going to fill that in with like a faceless group, ellos. But If they're telling it to you guys, the response has to be they're telling it to
Us.
us. And the
Mhm.
us word is going to become a nos. The good news about that is that I don't have any lelo. It's just nos. Yay.
Mhm.
Okay, so nos, but what's the little direct object we're getting rid of? La respuesta. And now it's not a whole big long chunk of words. It's just kind of a simple thing to replace. So we're going to have a la. Ellos nos la dicen. Ellos nos la dicen. And notice that ellos requires that verb to become a dicen. They're telling it, there's a la word, to us. Ellos nos la dicen. They, to us, it, they're telling. That is literally the word order native speakers are thinking in. They're thinking in that order. To you, it will sound weird because is weird for English. It is not weird for Spanish. That's the order they use. Okay. Siguiente. ¿Quién me da esos billetes? ¿Quién me da? Who's giving me? Okay. And we're just going to assume it's a friendly you for the end. Who's doing this for me? Somebody's doing this for you. Okay. And the thing they're doing is da. And we don't know who. We don't know who is doing that action of da. So that's why we have the quien there. Quien da. Who's giving? They're going to have to fill in that blank with a name, right? Bien. And they're just happening to prompt that the who is going to be a yo. Therefore, it's going to be yo doy. All right. And by the way, this word yo, it's there as your prompt, but if you heard this as a regular response, probably somebody wouldn't say the word yo. All right. But who's doing this for you? Pardon. Who's doing this for me? The me in the question becomes a
You.
te in the answer. And what we want to get rid of is the direct object. And that is this phrase here, estos billetes, these tickets. See? Estos billetes. So that whole thing has to go bye-bye. We want one little word to sub in for that to make it easier to say. And that word is los. And are you doing this for me? Somebody's doing this for you. Yo te los doy. A ti, that's kind of icing on the cake.
Okay.
You don't need that. Typically, you won't hear the a ti, but they've got it in there as a prompt. The reason they have this as a prompt is that from the question, ¿Quién me da estos billetes? Who's giving these to me? A you response might be a formal you response, a familiar you response, a you guys response, right? Whatever. But with that a ti prompt, they're prompting you, we want a familiar you. So, okay.
Marilyn, I don't know why I'm sort of having a brain fart on this one.
That's normal.
Thanks. So let me try asking this. The question is, who is giving me the tickets, right?
Yeah. Somebody is going in the group to get tickets. Somebody's going to get tickets and they're going to
Okay,
come back.
but it's who is going to give to me.
See.
So why isn't the answer sort of you are going to give me the tickets? Why is the answer a yo? Why is the answer, if the question is who's giving to me, I'm reading the answer as saying I'm going to give to you
Yes.
You're
the
asking
tickets.
Marilyn, who's
Okay.
giving you the tickets? And
Okay.
Marilyn says she
So-
is giving them to you.
Let's say we're going to the movies. And we got 10 people all together going to see this movie. And I'm the person who's going to be holding the tickets. But somebody's buying them and somebody's going to put them in my hot little hand. Okay. ¿Quién me da estos who's doing this for me? I'm doing it for you. This is kind of a contrived example, okay? It's a
Would
little
it
bit of
be, would you understand it better, Mark, if it said, let me see, Juan le dicen, or le dice, ¿Quién me da estos billetes? I think there's not enough information in the initial sentence to get you to yo. They're giving you the yo, but they should
They're-
have given you more information in the sentence above.
yeah.
Like,
The yo
Juan
is there purely
le
as
dice.
the yo is there purely as a prompt.
Yeah,
It's just a prompt.
So somehow none of this is still helping. So
Okay.
let's ignore the question for a second,
Okay.
okay? And I'm sorry, I'm kind of like
That's
wasting
okay.
some of our time here. If I read the answer, just ignore the question, but as I read the answer, it says, I give them to you,
See, I'm giving
right?
them to you.
I telos to you, them I'm giving, right?
See,
Okay, so I don't see how I get at least I'm reading that right, but I don't see how I get from the question, which is asking, who is going to give me, to an answer that says, I'm going to give you.
Two
mhm.
different people.
Two
right.
different people, yes.
Yeah, see,
Two people talking to each other.
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
One
maybe that helps.
Read it as Juan le dice, ¿Quién me da estos billetos? Read it that
Who's
way.
gonna, yeah,
Juan
and
le
it's more like,
dice.
who's gonna do this? Who's
Yeah.
gonna do this? Who's gonna give me, hey, who's gonna get these tickets for me?
Okay, so I think what you're all trying to tell me is the meh in the question is different than the yo. It's a different person than the yo in the answer.
Oh, see, okay, I'm sorry, my light bulb is now going on, and
Mark.
you need to understand, sometimes it takes me a while to understand the question because to me it makes sense, doesn't mean to you it's gonna make sense. Yeah, okay. See, who's doing the giving, they just like purely like just grabbing out of the ether in the group, somebody says, oh, I'm gonna do that. And that's the answer. So there's no reason it had to be a yo. It could be Maria, and then you'd have to change the verb. They wanted to change the verb. They wanted to get to this as an answer. Somebody in that group says, I'm the one who's going to do this for you. That's where that comes from. What I do want to point out to you is that because this was kind of a contrived question, and because they plugged in like a totally different person saying, oh, I'll do this instead of Jim is doing this or Susie's doing this. Yeah. The way you're normally going to hear that response, because it's kind of contrived and they're plugging in new things, the normal response will be to get rid of the yo and to get rid of the a ti. The normal response would be, te los doy. Oh, I'll do that for you. Te los doy. And somebody out of the group is just saying, I'm the one getting the tickets. Te los doy. I'll do it for you. Okay. But a normal response from a normal person in the group, if I'm the one doing the ticket buying, te los doy. I'll do it for you. And you won't hear the yo and they won't hear the a ti on the end. That's the way it's normally going to happen.
Number 10 is going to be the same thing. Number 10 is,
Number 10 is doing the same thing. Sí, tienes
same
razón.
situation.
Tienes razón. Sí. Yeah, you're right about that. Okay. I think the video I have is probably going to do a better job of this than even what this is doing, but I was looking for a written, and some of them get even harder than this. So, okay. A quienes, to whom, and we assume it's a plural group. Okay. So this is not who's telling, It's who are you telling the joke to? In English, who are you telling the joke to?
Mhm.
Okay, which should we be ending that in English? But that's the way you're probably going to say it. How many of you would literally say, to whom are you telling that joke? To whom are you? Bless you if you do that. You're really good. You're absolutely proper. But in actual colloquial Spanish, or is colloquial English, I'm sorry, colloquial English, the way we just off the cuff say that, it's probably going to come out, even with us, even though it's technically incorrect grammatically. Who you telling that joke to? Yeah. All right. That's the way it usually comes out. So,
Marilyn,
Sí.
a question about the question.
see,
So the les there is referring to a quienes because you don't have.
exacto, exacto. Okay. Because quienes without the just quienes with no word in front of it would mean who's doing that. But a quienes, to whom. So it literally is a to whom. But notice in the question, I can't, yeah, I've got to have the pronoun in there too. I need to have this word in that question besides the a quienes. So in
And
other
that's
words, you'd
there.
never hear this question as a quiénes cuentas, a quiénes cuentas. You would not hear this question with that word left out. Isn't that word les kind of redundant? If I've got a quiénes, why do I need the les? Because that's the way they do it. They include the les. That's
So
just what,
so sometimes like the whoever, like a quienes, sometimes it comes before the les. It's not
oh yeah,
always.
if you're asking a
after.
question, it does, yes.
Okay.
If you're asking a question, because quienes without the would mean who's doing it, and a bunch of people are doing it. Oh, they're all telling a joke.
Okay.
Okay. The a quienes automatically tells you somebody's on the receiving end, that it's the who is on the receiving end, not on the doing it end. Sí, Nora.
So I tried to write out what these sentences were in English in my mind, and I thought this one said, who is telling them the joke? But it's really who to them tells
Here's the key. That tells
because
you
it's
who's
who
telling.
is you. So it's really, to whom are you telling the joke?
To whom are you telling the joke?
So it's
Who are you telling the joke to?
Yeah, who are you? So that was part of my problem there too. Because I
See.
forgot to look at the quantus as with
So the
the,
verb tells you who's
yeah,
doing the action. Cuentas tells us it's tú. Who are you telling? And the who is and okay, it's yeah. In English, we just have who, but they have like the Dr. Seuss who's. The
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss version, who's. Yeah. So
kind of like who all are you?
yeah, who all are you telling? Who all are you telling that joke to? Right? And we're just making it a them. Okay. But from cuentas, you're telling, the answer becomes cuento. I'm telling.
And then
And
it's say because it can't even be les in front of the lo.
yeah.
Has-
And el chiste is the thing turning into lo. Right?
yeah.
And if I'm telling it to them, in Spanish, they will never phrase this as lo cuento a ellos. Can't I just say lo cuento a, can't I, like if I want to include the lo, can't I just say lo cuento a ellos? And I will tell you, okay, will you be understood? Yes. But will it sound funny to them? Yes. Would they understand you? Like in a pinch, dirty low down, just communicate the bare knuckle stuff. lo cuento a ellos. I'll tell it to them. They'll get it, but it's kind of like missing a beat. Da-dum, da-dum. It doesn't sound right. Because they're never going to leave off this extra pronoun. They're never going to leave that off.
Yeah,
Se
but
lo
not so
cuento a
bad,
ellos.
but not so bad for a gringo, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But, you know, and that said, you know, you might be prepared for, oh, I know se is reflexive, but there the se is not reflexive. Se lo cuento is because I cannot say les lo cuento. Just like I can't lelo, I can't leslo. Leslo is too phonetically hard to say, two words that start with an L. So, se lo cuento. Se lo cuento a ellos. I'm telling them. I want to kind of get through this kind of quickly. I know you have questions and don't hesitate to ask them, but okay. ¿Quién le muestra a ustedes? The a ustedes is connected to the les. Somebody's doing this to you guys, and that means in the answer, it's got to flip to a we, right? A nos. Okay, because they're doing this for us or to us, right? Okay, so ¿quién muestra? We don't know who's doing that showing. That's what we need that information for. I need to know who's showing something to us. And what's the thing they're showing? Las fotos. Bien? So that's going to turn into a them. See? So we're going to name who's doing this muestra. And they've decided it's going to be somebody named Ana. Ana muestra. There are the two elements that match up. Who's doing it? Ana. And muestra, the thing she's doing. So she's showing them, las fotos, to us. Ana nos las muestra. Nos las muestra. To them, or to us, them, she's showing. Ana nos las muestra. ¿Sí?
Sí.
Okay. ¿Quién te regala el anillo? Who's giving the ring to you? We don't know. We don't know who is doing this action of regala. Who's doing it? ¿Quién? We know who's on the receiving end. Here's who's on the receiving end. We're saying who's doing it for?
You.
You. And the answer is going to have to be on that answer end. Me. They're doing it for me. Are they doing it for you? They're doing it for me. That's where the me comes from. And now what we want to do is we want to get rid of this whole set of, this set of just two words. El anillo. This thing here. El anillo. And that becomes a lo. And thankfully, while I can't lelo, I can melo. Yeah, I can melo. So now I just want to know who's doing this action of regala, giving it as a gift. And we're going to say, we're going to make it mi novio, my boyfriend. Mi novio me lo regala. My boyfriend, to me, he gives as a gift. Yeah. Mi novio me lo regala. Me lo regala. Bien? Okay. That one was maybe not quite as big a brain buster. Now, look at the difference. ¿Quién regala? Who's doing the giving? We don't know who, we don't, here's the verb, escriben. They are writing. Oh, they are writing. No, it's you guys are writing. Yeah. To whom? ¿A quién? ¿A quién le escriben ustedes una tarjeta? Who are you guys writing the card? Yeah. To whom are you writing that card?
So Marilyn, why wouldn't that be nos then? I got it right, but I don't know how I got it there.
Why wouldn't it be nos?
Yeah,
Ah,
because it's again, ustedes and lace. So who are you guys writing the
because
cards?
to get to, okay, so why is it se and why is it not nos? Is that
Right.
your question?
Yeah, I got it right. But now
Okay.
when I look at it, I'm like,
Who are you guys writing to? And we're not writing to us. We're not writing to ourselves.
okay.
Yeah. Nos escribimos would mean we're writing this to ourselves. Like I'm writing myself a post-it and sticking it on the freezer so I don't forget to put something on my grocery list.
Mhm.
Then that might make sense.
Okay, got it.
But
No, I have it right, but I was
the
confused.
ustedes
so-
is connected to this verb. Okay. So the nosotros means we're doing the action.
Luis.
Yeah. Nosotros is connected to this idea of the action of the verb escribimos, right? And we're going to say we're writing it to Luis.
See, got it.
Okay.
Or Luis.
To Luis. And you might think logically so in English, if you're just going to say, we're writing it to Luis, just stick in the la escribimos, we're writing it. La takes the place of la tarjeta. La escribimos a Luis should be enough. But actually in Spanish,
Got
it
it.
sounds funny to them. They're used to having the pronoun there to talk about Luis. They're used to having that redundancy. Redundancy for an indirect object, normal. It is normal to them. It is what they do. It is the thing that is done. Okay? An indirect object, it is normal for that to be redundant.
I got it. Thank you.
To us, it is not normal for it to be redundant, but for them, it is normal. If you're looking for logic in this, you're not going to find it. You will be sadly disappointed. It is just what they do. So, se la escribimos. Normally, the response, we would leave out the nosotros. We would drop that. It's there as a prompt to make sure that you understand nosotros and escribimos. There's the subject and the verb action that match up, okay? But a normal response, they won't even say that word nosotros. It'll just be, se la escribimos a Luis. Se la escribimos a Luis. To him, it we're writing. And, oh, I'll tell you his name, a Luis. Bien. The se is talking about a Luis.
Mhm.
The se is connected back to a Luis way at the end. When they name the who of the word se, when they specify, because how the heck do I know who se is talking about? Se can mean to him, se can mean to her, se can mean to usted, formal you, se can mean to you guys, plural, you guys. Se can mean to them. It means that many things in that particular sentence. So, but I do have to include it. Se la escribimos, and now I won't tell you who the se is until the very end, a Luis. A Luis is the tag on that says, by the way, here's who the se is, a Luis, and it's always tagged on at the end.
If it's understood that it's Luis, could you leave that off then?
If it's understood, yes. If you
Okay.
understood that it was Luis, let's say Luis was standing right next to me and I pointed to him, I might just say, se la escribimos, and I'd point to Luis. And I would not say Luis's name. Yeah. Bien. Okay. ¿Quién me paga las cuentas? Okay. Cuentas are bills. Yeah. We want to know who's doing this paying. We've got a quién. We want to know who's doing it. Yeah. Who is doing this paga? So I need a name in that answer. Okay. And the name in that answer, and I'm sorry, Mark, this is the same, you're right. Diana was right. It's the same thing. They chose to make it a yo. All right. So we're going to say, oh, I'll pay them for you. Or I'll pay them to you. See? Te las pago.
It made fine sense to me when I kind of accepted the fact that the me, again, the me in the question is different than the yo in the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And that's where I was not getting, but that's where the mental block was coming. And that's a normal thing. Yeah. And these were a little bit contrived. So the me in the question gets a te in the answer, right? And the las cuentas is what we get rid of. And that just becomes the little short word las. See? Bien. Okay. Sí. Dime. Tell me.
Hay otra ejemplo para tratar las respuestas. Hay otra.
Oh, could
Es
we have something
posible
other than yo?
Es posible para la próxima lección.
Sí.
Para
Sí.
practicar.
Yeah. You want to know, could we have something other than yo here?
No,
No.
Es posible para la próxima lección. Hay un ejemplo para practicar.
Más ejemplos, sí. Do you want more with, you know what? I'm going to let you watch the next video first and then kind of decide which direction you want this to go. You know what? And sadly, this is because it's a dialogue driven thing. And, in a normal dialogue, you'll have a lot of interaction and you'll know because these shortening of words by using pronouns happen because we don't want to repeat it back. Do you like the red car? Yes, I like the red car. Why do you like the red car? I like the red car because nobody's going to repeat red car all the time, right? We're going to throw in it. We're going to, who's finding the keys for me? The keys is going to become a them, right? So, okay, let's see if ¿dónde está? Momentito, let me take it off share to make sure I get the sound on here. Okay, bien. Let's try this. I think this is going to be maybe, I hope, easier to understand. Okay, mejor, better. Bien. Now, this will be a little more complicated because he's going to flip things to some different positions, but that's okay because we're going to show how sometimes these little combinations like me, lo, te, lo, nos, lo, or se, lo, how they might also shift into different parts of the sentence. And he's going to show you when they can be expressed with the words shifting to a different position.
Vamos a practicar un poco más los complementos directos e indirectos.
I don't think so. These will be all
in this video, we're going to
question
be
form.
practicing direct and indirect object pronouns a little bit more. For watching this video, you should probably watch the video on double object pronouns, or direct and indirect object pronouns. Now, go ahead and determine if there's a direct object, an indirect object, or both in each sentence.
Oh, there might be only one. Keep in mind, there might only be one.
If
there
it's
might
just
be
a direct
two.
object or indirect object in the sentence, see if you can shorten it any more if possible. Or if it's both, shorten the sentence using your knowledge of double object pronouns.
So this is not necessarily questions. This is kind of an easier level. Shorten the sentence. He's not saying answer the question necessarily. He's saying shorten the sentence. Okay.
If you want to try out the examples beforehand, click on the link below this video for the worksheet with the examples. And pause the video if you need more time and check the word bank if you aren't sure about a word. Le compré una bufanda a mi hermana.
Now, the a mi hermana, I obviously, that action of compré, I bought. Obviously, I did not buy my sister. Bought her off. No, I didn't buy my sister. So I had to buy something. Bufanda es una prenda en el cuello. You put that around your neck. Una bufanda es a scarf. ¿Sí? Le compré una bufanda a mi hermana. And notice the way this is expressed. This is a good. Wouldn't it be enough to say, compré una bufanda a mi hermana? Wouldn't it be enough to leave off that word le? We already know it's a mi hermana.
No.
In Spanish, it's not enough. It sounds off. It sounds funny to leave off the word le. To say this as compré una bufanda a mi hermana would get you by in a pinch. Okay? It would get you by. Somebody would get it, but they would say, that sounds funny. It's le compré una bufanda a mi hermana. That le needs to be there, even though we say specifically a mi hermana way at the end, right? So I'm not buying my sister. I'm buying something for
My sister.
her, right? And what's the thing I'm buying? It's
Una bufanda.
una bufanda. So what if I want to shorten it to say, I bought it for her? And that is something you do say all the time. I bought it for her. I bought it for him. I bought it for you guys. Right?
Se la compré.
What else do I have to get rid of?
Una bufanda.
Una bufanda. And that now, okay, that one is probably pretty obvious. It won't be a lelo. Bufanda is a thing, and it's a feminine thing. So it's going to go to a one little short word, which is
La.
la. Okay. And I'm going to keep that le, maybe. But can I say lela?
No.
No, because
No.
you can't le lo, so you can't le la either. Okay. So that little word is going to become something that is not reflexive, but it sure sounds like something reflexive.
Se la. Se la.
Ela.
And if you wanted to shorten it with double object pronouns to say, I bought it for her, se la compré.
Se la compré. So it's just an easier step because we're not answering a question. We're not doing that mental gymnastics part of it. We're just shortening the sentence, right? Se la compré. Se la compré, and you know, a mi hermana is optional, but there it is. Okay.
Vamos a visitar a mis abuelos este sábado.
Vamos a visitar a mis abuelos este sábado. We're going to do what? We're going to visit
Is it our grandparents?
grandparents, my grandparents, this Saturday. Do we have an object receiving that action of visit?
Yes.
Yes. Do I
Yes.
have more than that receiving any action?
No.
No.
So I've only got one. So here's what you got to be prepared for. Sometimes you only have one thing as an object. Oh, yay. They're people.
They're just lace. Lace vamos.
Is it going to be les?
Los. Los.
Les or los? Les or los?
Lace. No. Sí, lace.
Who am I going to visit? The direct object answers the question, who or what of the action?
Oh,
Are we visiting
Abuelos.
are we visiting a museum?
No,
No.
the abuelos.
We're visiting people. Is that a direct object or is that an indirect object?
Indirect.
No.
to whom are
Could
we?
I rephrase that and say, I'm going to visit to them? Would you
No.
say that
No,
as I'm going to
it's
visit
direct.
for them or I'm going to visit to them?
No.
It's a direct then.
So it can't be
Direct.
indirect.
Los vamos.
Okay.
That's where it's hard.
That's where it gets hard. You're right.
Direct object.
It is a direct object. You would never phrase this as I'm going to visit to them. There's the little truco. Yeah. And if I can't say it that way, then it can't be the word les. Yeah.
So los.
If that means that's a direct object, right? I'm not going to visit the zoo. I'm not going to visit the bank. I'm not going to, I'm not going to visit a thing. I'm going to visit people. And here, even though we've got people, they're a direct object. Direct objects are often things, but direct objects can be people. So we have to be on the lookout for when direct objects are people. Yeah. And I won't use ole or elles there. I have to use a direct object pronoun. But now we've got an extra twist thrown in. I've got a vamos a visitar. I've got two verbs working together. So you're going to see a couple of things.
Coordinates.
I think he'll show you both.
Visitarlos.
Los vamos a visitar este sábado.
Los vamos a visitar este sábado. Los vamos a visitar. Los vamos a visitar. Them, we're going to see. Los in front of the vamos. Yeah, see? In front of the conjugated verb. Los vamos a visitar is right. But because I've got two verbs, there are two places that word los can go because I've got a two verbs working together thing going on. So, los vamos a visitar este sábado is great.
O vamos a visitarlos
A
este sábado.
visitarlos.
That's also correct. When I've got two verbs walking together, yeah, the first verb does the talking, the other verb just goes along and doesn't change. Okay, when I've got two verbs working together, I can put it in front just like you think it should be in front of the conjugated verb. Yes, it can go there. But somebody may, just because they decide to, stick it onto the end of the infinitive. And that's permissible because it's a two verb combo. Not okay with one verb. Yes, okay with two verbs. Okay? Bien? Vamos a visitarlos. Did I lose anybody on that one? No. Okay. Vale.
Paco no le dio un regalo a Diego.
Paco didn't give a gift to Diego.
Mm.
Ah, mala persona, bad person, Paco. Did he give Diego away? No, that's not the direct object. Diego is the person, well, in this case, who didn't get anything. Yeah. Pobre Diego, poor Diego. So the le is redundant. It has to be there. We're naming a Diego, but the le also has to be there. Le dio un regalo. And so I've got two objects. Le and the a Diego part are indirect. And then I've got a something that is a second object, right? Regalo.
Both.
Which
And
would be
the double object pronouns. Paco no se lo dio.
Paco no se lo dio. And se, because I can't phrase it as le lo dio. Ooh, too hard to say. Too many la, 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 because in Spanish, the la really goes behind the tongue. La, yeah. You have that flick of the tongue. Le lo dio is really hard to say. Se lo dio. Se lo dio. Se, take le changes into se, but it is not reflexive. It's just the le turning into se. Se lo dio. And only one verb, so it had to go in front of dio, right? Gave. Just has to be there.
¿Le hablaste a tu papá?
Ah, ya le hablaste a tu papá. Did you already talk to your dad? The ya is the already.
Yeah.
Ya le hablaste a tu papá. Did you already talk to your dad? Did you already talk to your dad? And the to your dad is a key thing.
This is as small as it gets. Unless you take off the a tu papa, right?
The a tu papa is who the le is talking about. Okay.
Right.
But that's indirect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because do you say you did something to dad or for dad? Yes. It's indirect. Okay.
But I can't make it any shorter, I don't think.
Ah,
Could we shorten it anymore?
I'm wrong.
Ya le hablaste?
How about just say
a tu
sí?
papá?
Yeah, you can just, yeah. The way you shorten it is probably getting rid of the a tu papá,
Yeah.
but you keep the le.
Yeah, exactly.
Ya le hablaste. Did your, yeah. Okay, but you gotta have that le. Yeah, and we can't shorten it anymore. Yeah. The verb is not decir, to tell. It is hablar, to speak. Speak to somebody. Bien? Okay.
Pregunta. So
Sí.
when you, whenever you see an a tu papa, an a tu something at the end, you always have to include indirect objects in front of the verb.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So again, that's what sounds normal to them. And when it
But the
doesn't
op-
come out of
but-
your mouth that way, it sounds like it's a little out of order to them.
But am I getting it now? The opposite, of course, is not true. That if you don't need the clarifying a tu papa at the end, then it's simply ya
Did you
le
already talk to
hablaste.
him? Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be understood.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but it'll be very normal. It will not be normal to leave out this word le. Phrasing the question as ya hablaste a tu papá, somebody will understand that, but it sounds a little off because they're expecting to hear that le. That's what's normally done. Ya le hablaste a tu papá. The a tu papá might be cut out if it's understood. But this le being redundantly named is normal. It's the norm. Okay.
For clarification. Juan siempre lleva zapatos viejos.
Juan always wears old shoes.
Siempre los lleva.
Okay. Bien. Juan siempre lleva zapatos viejos. Do we have an object, something receiving that action of lleva?
Sí, zapatos.
Zapatos. Well, zapatos are not people. And furthermore, we have to get rid of the whole thing, zapatos nuevos. Or zapatos viejos. Zapatos viejos, that whole thing, it's got to go. Everything connected to zapatos, which is also the word viejos, it's got to go. It's got to go. Okay.
Yeah.
So, bien. Is that a direct object or an indirect object?
Direct.
Correct.
Direct.
Direct. Okay, that one is a little more obvious. So we need, it can't be metenos, zapatos. We can't replace with metenos, right? But we can replace it with what little word?
Los.
Los. I've only got one verb, so easy. It goes in front of the verb. Not too hard.
Dos. Lleva.
Direct object. Could we shorten
Juan
it?
siempre los lleva.
Mhm.
Juan siempre los lleva.
Mhm.
Siempre los lleva. Siempre los lleva. Sí. Okay.
¿Me prestas tu teléfono?
Me prestas tu teléfono. Prestas. I'm asking you to do something for
Me.
Me.
me. Okay. Me prestas tu teléfono.
Me lo prestas.
Mhm.
Ah.
Sí.
Both. And go ahead and shorten it.
So now we're not answering this question. We're just rephrasing the question and making the question a shorter question, right? So to make it shorter, because you know somebody is missing this object, yeah? Yeah.
¿Me lo prestas?
Me lo
This is an interesting-
prestas. Can you lend it to me? If you've already been saying, se me olvidó mi teléfono, se me olvidó mi celular, I already forgot my phone. Me lo prestas. Will you loan it? It would be understood. You're talking about this thing with the word lo. Yeah? See? Me lo prestas. Can you loan it to me?
Mhm.
The lo is just, but the me stays there. Yeah. Will you loan it to me? Will you lend it to me?
In construction, notice the literal translation doesn't involve can in Spanish, but says, to me, you lend your phone.
Because they don't have a word for borrow. Okay. I would normally say in English, can I borrow your phone? Can I use your phone? But they don't have the word borrow. They've just got prestar, lend. Okay.
El profesor no les enseña karate a los estudiantes.
Ah. Okay.
No.
How many objects? One or two? Who's receiving the action of enseñar, teach?
There's students and karate.
Students and karate. Okay. So the thing being taught is
Karate.
karate. And the people who are learning the karate are the kids. Okay. So we're going to make that shorter. He's teaching it to them.
And go ahead and shorten it. El profesor
Se
se lo
lo.
enseña.
Se lo enseña. Se lo enseña. ¿Sí? Bien.
Sí.
Se lo enseña. You might include a los estudiantes. That's why it's in parentheses. It might be redundant, considered okay. It might be left off if it's understood from the way the conversation is rolling along.
Te estamos buscando botas nuevas.
Ah. We are doing this.
Looking for.
We're looking for, and we're doing, oh, we're looking for what? Are we looking for a person?
New boat.
Boots.
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 Oh, and not just any old boots, but
New boots.
new boots. And we're shopping for somebody. Who are we shopping for? Or looking for? Maybe we're searching through the house.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
doing this for
You.
you. Uh-oh, I've got two verbs walking together. Okay. So let's just look at the issue of we're doing this action of buscar for you. And here's the thing we're seeking out.
Both. Go ahead and shorten it. Te las estamos buscando.
Te las estamos buscando. Te las estamos. Estamos. There's our conjugated verb. Uh-oh, I've got two verbs walking together. So I'm going to get two choices of where the te las goes. Te las is great. Te las is always great in front of the verb. That always works. Te las estamos, but I can also say
Estamos buscándotelas.
estamos buscándotelas. Buscándotelas.
Both on the end.
I don't have an infinitive, but I do have an ando yendo. I can tag it on to an ando yendo because I got two verbs walking together. And I need a little accent mark. Doesn't matter when you're talking, that little accent mark, yeah. That, buscándotelas, is closer to the English word order. Looking for you, yeah.
Vamos a jugar
Looking
fútbol
for them
mañana.
for you.
Yeah, sí. Okay. Vamos a jugar fútbol mañana. We're going to do what?
Play football.
We're going to play soccer. Yeah. Here, it's going to be soccer,
a
really.
direct
Fútbol
object.
americano.
Can you shorten it?
And the thing we're playing is a sport.
Lo vamos a jugar mañana. O
Lo vamos a jugar mañana. I've got two verbs walking together. So lo can
Vamos
be
a jugarlo.
vamos a jugarlo.
vamos a jugarlo mañana.
We're going to play it. And the play it is closer to our English word order. So English speakers like to say that, but you're very likely to hear it as lo vamos a jugar.
So the more common is with the object in front of the verb instead of an add-on.
Para mí, en mi opinión, sí. I think you're a little more likely, but you know what? It really depends on how the person, if they feel like saying it the other way, they can, and they will. So it's very unpredictable. But it's very usual to hear it as a lo vamos a jugar. Okay.
¿Les hablas mucho a tus tíos?
Do you talk to your aunt and uncle? And here, this is probably going to mean your aunt and uncle, not all your uncles. Tios is generally understood often in that format of aunt and uncle together, right? Okay. Them as a couple. Okay.
You just shorten it to les hablas mucho? Les hablas mucho.
Direct object.
Nice.
I don't have indirect and direct. I just have the indirect. Hablar uses an indirect more often than a direct, more often.
And could you shorten
Because
it?
you could speak it, I speak Italian to my aunt and uncle. Okay, theoretically, you could have something like that. But usually you talk to somebody. I mean, that's the usual how we are conversing with people, right? You talk to somebody.
Anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, les refers to your uncles or your aunts and uncles, so we don't have to say those. So les hablas mucho.
And so we can't really leave this les out. We can skip the a tus tíos, but we can't really skip the les. It sounds off. It sounds funny to people if you leave off the word les.
La señora nos vendió fresas.
Oh, the lady sold strawberries to us.
Strawberries.
How many objects?
Nos las.
Can we
Two.
shorten it anymore?
And now we're going to shorten that down. And we're going to say the lady sold them to us.
Señora se las viendo.
And we're not answering a question. The nos is going to stay
Nos.
as
Nos las.
nos las. Sí.
Nos las?
And I've only got one verb, so it can only go in front of the verb, right? Both of those can only go in front of the verb. Nos las.
La señora nos las vendió.
Nos,
To us, them she sold. To us, them she sold. Nos las vendió.
nos las.
Nos las vendió.
Te compré el libro que querías.
Oh, I bought
The book that you want.
I bought the book you wanted. Yeah, I bought the book you wanted, but I bought it for
You,
you. So
te lo compré.
that
Okay.
whole thing, el libro que querías, the book that you que querías just says it's the one you wanted, not the one you needed, right? But the one you wanted. Okay. So the whole thing, el libro que querías, that whole thing has to go. And it has to get shortened down to one little word. And it is actually the object, the thing that was bought. So it's a direct object, right? Can't be metenos. It's got to be a lo, la, los, las.
Oh,
Te lo
and
compré.
could we shorten it?
Te lo compré.
Te lo compré. Yeah,
Te lo compré.
Te lo compré. And this is a very normal kind of sentence. Te lo compré. I bought it for you. I bought it for you. I got it to you. I sent it to you. I said it to you. I told it to you. All those kinds of actions typically will have a couple of object
Le
pronouns.
tengo que pedir un favor a usted.
Oh, I've got to ask you a favor. I've got to ask a favor from you. Okay. The thing I have to ask for is
The favor.
a favor. And the person I'm going to ask the favor is
You.
you. Okay. We're not answering a question. We're just replacing words. Okay. And here, instead of a familiar you, I've got a formal
You.
you. Okay.
So it's say.
Se lo tengo
Shorten it.
que pedir.
Se lo tengo que pedir.
Se lo tengo que pedir, and I've got two verbs walking together. So I can take the se lo, I can put it in front of tengo, se lo tengo que pedir. I have to ask it. And the se lo can be in front of tengo, but because I've got an infinitive attached,
O tengo que pedírselo with the
I can pegarlo, I can tag it on. Pedírselo. Tengo que pedírselo.
accent over the I. ¿Alguien puede explicar?
You know what I'm realizing, Marilyn? It's only the way it's written because it sounds the same if it's in front or back. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, you're smashing that infinitive together, but it sounds the same if it's in front. Celo, tango, or
Oh, it
pedir.
is.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's all mushed up together.
Yeah, the celo is always going to be a celo. You know, it's always going to be in that order. It's just, do I put it in front of that first verb or do I tag it on to the end of the second part of that verb? It's a verb phrase. Those two verbs are walking together. And it's whether it's a progressive, está pidiendo, or whether it's a two verb phrase with a verb and an infinitive. I've got two verbs together. So it's always tagged on to the end. Yeah. Pedírselo.
Accent over
It
the
gets
I.
an accent mark again. If you're speaking that, the accent mark doesn't matter. When you're writing, it matters, but you know, okay, not a biggie. Don't focus on the
¿Alguien
accent
puede
mark.
explicarme lo que pasó en la novela anoche?
Ah. Can somebody do this? Can somebody
Explain to me.
explain to me lo que pasó?
What happened in the novel?
What happened in the novel? I guess they were in a class maybe last night.
Both.
Oh, and this whole thing, lo que pasó en la novela anoche, that's a very abstract thing. I don't know, you were in a lit class and reading something. Lo que pasó en en la novela anoche is a great big glob of words, and it's an abstract thing that it's going to be replaced with a very, very short little word.
If you're confused, the word novela here is short for telenovela, which is the word for
plain
soap
old-
opera.
Oh, la novela. Here they're taking it as
Oh.
soap opera. Here they're taking that as soap opera. Okay, sí, novela.
Oh, so la.
It's short for telenovela, but yeah. I was expecting telenovela first, yeah, but novela is a way that you do that. Okay.
Spanish, and they are incredibly popular in the Spanish-speaking world.
Me la.
Try to shorten it.
Explicarme la.
¿Alguien me lo
Oh.
puede explicar?
Me lo puede explicar. There's the normal thing in front of the conjugated verb, but I've got two verbs walking together. So, me lo puede explicar. And that whole long thing in blue, lo que pasó en la novela anoche, becomes a little abstract word, it. What happened in the show last night becomes just it. Somebody explain it to me. Me lo puede explicar?
¿O alguien puede explicármelo?
Can somebody explain to me it?
¿Qué les
Yeah.
dijiste a Juan y a Enrique?
Ah, ¿qué le dijiste? Ah, dijiste means did you tell? And, ooh, what did you tell
Them.
them? What did you tell them? Juan y a Enrique. The les is, here's the redundant part of the les. A Juan y a Enrique. What did you tell them?
¿Qué les
Direct
dijiste?
object.
¿Qué les
All it's got, the only thing it's got, we're not answering the question yet. We're just looking at, hey, in that question, do I have both a direct and an indirect?
And could we shorten it anymore?
All I've got is indirect there. I only have the one thing in that question, right? We're not answering the
Teles?
question.
Teles? Dijiste?
¿Qué les dijiste?
Here we won't have here we won't have a say because we don't have two in that question. We don't have two objects. We didn't say, did you tell it? Just did you
Gracias.
tell them?
¿Qué les?
And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you only have one object in a sentence. And you have to kind of figure out, is it an indirect or a direct? Well, there it happens to be an indirect. It isn't even said, it isn't stated what you told. It's just kind of out there.
Mi hermano y su esposa me mandaron un regalo para la Navidad.
Oh, my brother and his wife And here's the mandaron, they sent. And they sent something to
Me.
me. And the thing they sent, un regalo para la Navidad. They sent a Christmas gift.
Both. Go ahead and shorten it.
Okay. I've only got one verb, mandaron. Okay, so I'm not thinking about like flipping pronouns to different places. I can only have one place these pronouns can be. So, and yeah,
Ellos me lo.
Me lo mandaron para la Navidad.
and he kept the para la Navidad. You know, somebody might drop the para la Navidad. It kind of depends. Yeah, me lo mandaron. They sent it to me. Okay, now he's telling really when the para la Navidad. Para la Navidad. Me lo mandaron.
Necesitamos unas vacaciones.
Oh, we need.
Them.
In English, we would say we need a vacation or we needed. Actually, here we don't really know if this is we needed or we need. We don't have any time stamp on that sentence to tell us whether it's presente or pretérito, but okay. We need, in English, a vacation, but in Spanish, vacation is always a plural word.
Las necesitamos.
Object. Shorten it.
Mhm.
Las necesitamos. This is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, we've just got one thing. It's a direct object, just one object, not a double.
Because unas vacaciones is a translation for a vacation. In Spanish, you wouldn't really ever see vacation singular. Marisol está preparándonos sándwiches.
Ah, Marisol is fixing some sandwiches for
Us.
us. So we're going to shorten this down. She's doing something for us. And he already has this stuck onto the end because I got two verbs walking together. Está preparando. So he already started this off for us. But what is she fixing for us?
Un
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches. So we want to cut that, shorten that down to another object, a second object.
Both. Go ahead and shorten it. Marisol nos los está preparando.
There's kind of the usual rule in front of está. Está preparando. Those two are walking together. It's a verb phrase. Nos los está preparando.
Oh, Marisol está preparándonoslos. That's fun to say.
So, what a long word. Preparándonoslos. That is okay. But, you know, I think it's easier to say as nos los está preparando. Easier to pronounce than preparándonoslo. Yeah, sí. Bien.
Vieron la película nueva de 007.
Everybody saw the new 007 movie. What did everybody see?
La película.
Una película. You saw a thing. Is there any other person involved with that?
No, todos.
The de 007 just talks about the kind of movie it is. That's all it is doing. It's telling us the kind of movie, not who's watching the movie.
Direct object. Go
Todos
ahead and
la
shorten.
vieron.
Todos la vieron.
Todos la vieron. Everybody saw it. Yeah. See, ver, can only take a direct object. I can't see something for somebody. I'll see this for you. You can't, unless you're talking about poker. I'll see you then. And then that's a different thing. Yeah. Yeah. If it's not a poker game, then it doesn't count. Okay.
Antes de comprarle rosas a su novia, Juan necesita saber cuál es su color favorito.
Antes de comprarle rosas a su novia. There's a redundant in there. Where's the redundant?
A su novia.
Sylvia.
The a su novia, we need that little pronoun of
Le.
buying
Right.
her, meaning buying them for her.
Both.
And but the thing he's buying for her is
Rosas.
rosas. Okay.
And you have actually multiple direct objects because you have different clauses. Go ahead and shorten it.
Oh,
Oof.
that's an oof,
Ujú.
yeah.
Antes de comprárselas a su novia, Juan lo necesita saber.
Oh, yeah, that's a double, wow. That's a curveball and then some. Okay. Comprárselas. Antes de comprárselas, all I've got is an infinitive. And notice, he didn't give the hardest thing first, did he?
No.
Yeah, he chose to do this at the end. This is just before doing this. That's how we would say that in English, right? But antes de comprar is the way you say before doing, before buying in this case. Before buying them for her, antes de comprárselas, before buying them for her, if rosas is understood, Juan lo necesita saber. Juan needs to know it. You could technically say lo necesita saber. He needs to know it, and it is meaning the color of the flowers. This is a hard example. I would say don't focus on that because you've got like a couple separate clauses, and that's a little bit complicated, but the other one's easier to
So,
focus on.
antes de
¿Sí?
comprárselas a su novia, Juan necesita
Marilyn,
saberlo.
Sí, sí.
question. So whenever it's a preposition and an unconjugated verb, do you
Yes.
always put it at the end?
Yes, if all you got to work with is an infinitive, antes de comprar, I've got no conjugated verb. I've got to buy it, I've got to send it, I've got to write it, I've got to, I don't know, I've got to sell it to them. Yeah. Anytime you've got an infinitive, if all I got to work with is no conjugation at all, then you have to tag any pronouns on to that infinitive. That's the way that works. And some sentences will have clauses where you'll say antes de comprar or después de comprar. Yeah. Bien. Okay, those are
Muy
kind
bien.
of complicated. He didn't stick those out front because they're involved. Yeah. Those won't be the usual
So for this
everyday.
practice video,
Those won't be the usual everyday examples that you need to hear. So he left the hard one for the end. I will send you that little, that long, so you can kind of dissect it and digest it and experience it again, because that may be needed. See, bien? Okay. Here's what I want to do, because I don't want to leave this out. I want to take a little bit of time for this. I'll send you another example, different video, but same thing, same kind of drill. Okay. Bien. Pero esto, qué chistoso, how funny. I want to see if you caught the fun little joke.
No se llamaría planeta, se llamaría...
Oh, yeah. This is by the way, this is a play on words. Planeta means planet. Okay, obvio. But this is a play on words between the word plano, which means flat, and redondo, which means round. So he is doing a pun.
redondeta.
If you think the world, yeah, if you really think the world is round, shouldn't you call it redondeta? It's a play on words. Planeta means planet, but plano also means flat. So, yeah, if you really think the world is round, shouldn't we call the planet redondeta? Okay. That's a little play on words. That's why he did that.
This guy is funny. I like his videos a lot.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor. Tiene gran sentido de humor. One other little phrase that maybe you didn't get, is
Mentiras.
yeah, the ONU just means organización nacional, Organización de Naciones Unidas, UN. ONU is Organización de Naciones Unidas, Organization of Nations United. So UN is ONU. Yeah, bien. NASA, they don't translate. Bien. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question about this?
No.
So I understood that the people that work at NASA are reptiles, is that right?
Yeah, that was his little joke about that. Yeah.
I guess that means my son's a reptile.
Yeah, see, you know,
Talk to Pete about
it's
that.
it's meant to be well, okay, obviously he takes one side of this very seriously. You know, it's a take on the whole conspiracy thing of flat earthers. Yeah, see? And yeah, I love the little tinfoil cap. But then the really best touch is the little piece of tape right there.
Yeah.
Okay. See? So, you know, he's trying to explain why the earth isn't flat. No, earth is not flat. Bien. Okay. Alguna pregunta? Any question about any little thing he phrased or no?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Bien. Obvio. It's the ha-ha of the week. Yeah. It's just a little active joke of the week. You may notice one, maybe you didn't know one little term. They went back and forth when they thought they had a gotcha for each guy. He'd say, jaque mate. Jaque mate. Jaque mate means checkmate.
Oh.
So it's a way of saying gotcha. Jaque mate. Also, tal cual is kind of like, yeah. It's a kind of sarcastic way of like, back at you, dude. Yeah, tal cual. But jaque mate is checkmate, and that's like saying, I got your butt in a bind, man. Yeah, okay. Bien. Okay. Eso es. Okay, we'll get another video, algo diferente, something different. This won't be quite as funny, but it will be a good listening video. Okay, bien. You want a little more pronoun practice? Another video that'll give you the same kind of, okay. He's got another, and this is a long series. I'll give you another one in that series so that you can kind of quiz yourself, see how you're doing. We didn't get time for our medallas. I assume you didn't have a whole lot of questions about the medallas, but we'll maybe start with that next week to see if there were any words, because I asked you to only maybe make yourself look at 3 different words. So we'll see if you had any questions from the medallas reading. We'll give you another homework on the double object pronouns and something to listen to, algo, una historia en contexto. Una historia en contexto, y es una historia de cuando tenemos formularios, when we've got forms, you know how you got to fill out, are you white,
Pacific
white, or any
Islander.
other variety of races. The video is about that. How do you categorize yourself? Bien. And you'll understand it when you see it because you've seen these forms 1,000 times. Okay. Okay. Todo bien. All good? Sí, todo bien.
Gracias.
Tomorrow is
Muchas
our tomorrow.
gracias.
Next week, de nada. Es un placer. It is a pleasure. Next week is our last week for this spring session, and then we got a couple weeks off. So, okay. Todo bien, todo bien. And we're all good. We got our minimum for summer, so we're all set. But of course, if you still have to sign up, that's an option that will be open for a long time. Okay. Todo bien, todo bien. Vale, entonces nos vemos, ¿sí? Muchísimas gracias.
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 Bien.
Gracias.